So Marvel Studios announced the cast for Avengers Doomsday today, and it was quite the event. If you watched Marvel's live stream earlier, you know it was like 5 hours of just staring at chairs. Like, that's literally what they did. About 13 minutes or so, every 13 minutes or so, they would just come set out a new chair, you know, one of those like director's chairs that are on the movie sets with people's names on the back, with the name of each actor in the movie. And yeah, this went on for about 5 hours, totaling, I think, 27 characters. And let me start off by saying right off the bat that these are not going to be all the characters in the movie. Yes, these characters are 100% confirmed to be in the movie, the ones on this list, but I guarantee this won't be the full list of characters when it's all said and done, because yeah, there are some pretty big names left off this list. But let's go ahead and take a look at the ones who have now been officially confirmed by Marvel Studios to have made the cut for Avengers Doomsday. A lot of which we expected, but definitely some pretty big surprises on the list. The God of Thunder, Thor, this one is pretty obvious. He's one of the OG Avengers still out there, and Chris Hemsworth has openly talked about wanting to still play Thor. So yeah, this one was sort of a given. Next up with Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, played by Vanessa Kirby, who we all will meet for the first time in the MCU this July when Fantastic Four First Steps releases. Marvel Studios president himself, Kevin Feige, has stated how important the Fantastic Four are going to be in general in the next two Avengers movies. So yeah, Sue Storm definitely was going to make the cut. Next, we have Captain America himself, Sam Wilson. And obviously, we just saw Anthony Mackie as Cap in the most recent MCU movie, where it was pretty obvious in that film that he would be a big part of the new Avengers team. So yeah, Captain America definitely had a chair up there. Then next would be Cap's bestie, his BFF, Bucky Barnes, who will be featured pretty prominently in the next MCU movie, Thunderbolts, which comes out in early May. People keep calling him the Winter Soldier still when he isn't the Winter Soldier anymore, guys. He's just Bucky. He ain't brainwashed by Hydra anymore, so let's stop calling him Winter Soldier, okay? He's Bucky. Next up would be another obvious one in my opinion. Of course, we were going to have a Black Panther, and it's Shuri, T'Challa's little sister, played by Letitia Wright. Wakanda is always a vital asset, so yeah, Black Panther Shuri most definitely made the cut. Then there's Scott Lang, Ant-Man, played by Paul Rudd, of course. Not much to say here. They basically just use his character as comic relief, so I expect nothing different here. Ant-Man is on the squad. Not sure if we will see Hope or Cassie, but we will see. Next up, we have Psycho Captain America, John Walker, U.S. agent. We haven't seen him in a while, not since Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but this guy is straight batshit crazy. Not to mention, he's pretty hilarious. I'm really glad he makes it out of the Thunderbolts alive, which Marvel totally spoiled, by the way, by pretty much listing all the Thunderbolts characters as making the list. So yeah, we know how Thunderbolts basically turns out as far as who makes it out of that movie. Next on the list would be Namor, the Submariner. Now, he was super cool. He was one of the best characters in Wakanda Forever, so I'm looking forward to seeing him again. But, you know, folks who know about his history with Susan Storm and Invisible Woman in the comics will be pretty excited to finally see these two on screen together. Could be pretty interesting because they have had some interesting interactions in the comics. We will just say that. Then we have the second Fantastic Four team member listed, Ben Grimm, the Thing. But once they revealed Sue Storm, it was pretty clear the rest of the Fantastic Four were making the cut, so here you go, Ben Grimm got a chair too. Next on the list is one of my personal faves in the entire MCU. I think it's a crime we haven't seen him sooner than this, and Kevin Feige should probably be in handcuffs because of it. But we have Shang-Chi, played by Simu Liu, and I, for one, am so pumped to see him back. There are actually rumors he could be showing up in Spider-Man 4, which is supposed to be the movie between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. In that movie, Spider-Man 4 will be directed by Shang-Chi director Destin Daniel Cretton, so fingers crossed that rumor is actually true and we will see Shang-Chi in Spider-Man 4. That would be pretty awesome. Next up is Yelena Belova, Natasha's little sister, the new MCU Black Widow essentially, who will be leading the Thunderbolts in the next MCU outing in just a little over a month, so we will be seeing plenty of Yelena moving forward. Next, we have an OG X-Men character who sort of falls in that surprising category, but he did show up in the post-credit scene for the Marvels, so I guess it's not that far-fetched, but yeah, Kelsey Grammer is back as Hank McCoy Beast, showing love to the OG X-Men from the Fox days. Then we have Sentry, who is played by Louis Pullman, who we won't meet for the first time in the MCU until Thunderbolts, but this guy is crazy powerful in Marvel Comics, essentially like a Superman, so the Avengers sure could use someone like him on the squad against Doom, so he's a good one to give a chair to. He'll make it out of Thunderbolts as well. Next up, we have the new Falcon, Joaquin Torres, played by Danny Ramirez. We literally just saw him in the last MCU movie, Captain America Brave New World, and since he is Captain America's little sidekick, and Anthony Mackie's Cap was already confirmed, it was pretty obvious Joaquin Torres, Falcon, would make the cut as well, so here he is. And then we get to the third member of the Fantastic Four, the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, Sue's little bro, played by Joseph Quinn, of course. Looking forward to his take on the character in Fantastic Four First Steps movie this July. I do love Chris Evans' version of the Human Torch that we just saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, so I'm excited to see what Joseph Quinn brings to the role. I'm excited for this one. Next up is Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, who is essentially Yelena's father, and they have quite a funny dynamic when it comes to their relationship, which we saw in Black Widow, and which will be on full display in the Thunderbolts movie in May, as well as Avengers Doomsday, apparently. So that's pretty cool because, yeah, they're super funny together. Yeah, them two together should be the best part about Thunderbolts. Then we have another important character from Wakanda, M'Baku, played by Winston Duke. By far, one of the best characters in Wakanda forever, so it's very deserving that he gets a nod here in Avengers Doomsday, and hopefully Avengers Secret Wars as well. Winston Duke definitely deserves it. Give this man more screen time, Marvel Studios. The next character on the list I was a bit surprised by, since I definitely thought the Ghost character, played by Hannah John Kamen, was not making it out of the Thunderbolts alive, but apparently she will, because here she is. Kind of looking like Taskmaster, might be the only casualty of the Thunderbolts movie. Maybe. Then we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Loki. Now God of Stories Loki, essentially, played by Tom Hiddleston, of course. One of the most popular MCU characters by far, and boy oh boy, I have been waiting for a reunion between him and Thor for a very long time. Seeing Thor and Loki back together again is definitely going to be a good time in Avengers Doomsday. I can't wait. And holy shit, now we get to really that surprising territory I was talking about, but Sir Patrick Stewart himself will be back as Charles Xavier, Professor X. And obviously this will be a different variant of the character than we saw in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, since Wanda Maximoff killed that version of Professor X by snapping his neck. So yeah, this is a different version of Professor X, most likely the one Beast was referring to at the end of the Marvels movie in the post-credit scene. Next up is definitely a huge surprise, since he's one of the ones who on this list who has never even been in an MCU movie, but it's Sir Ian McKellen, of course, as Magneto from the Fox X-Men movies. Now, this just makes all the sense in the world, because how could you have Patrick Stewart's Professor X, but not Ian McKellen's Magneto? Just wouldn't be right. So one of the coolest all-time Marvel characters, Magneto, definitely got one of those chairs today. Next up was totally out of left field, but Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler, Kurt Wagner. Now, I was shocked by this one, but hey, why not, right? This is starting to look a little bit more like an Avengers vs. X-Men movie at this point, right? And if you're going to have Nightcrawler, of course you would want to have Mystique, the original Mystique played by Rebecca Romijn, before Jennifer Lawrence would go on to play a younger version of the character, but very cool to have Rebecca Romijn back as Mystique in Doomsday. And hell yeah, one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters, played by such an underrated actor. You got Scott Summers, Cyclops, played by James Marsden. I was really hoping to see him in Deadpool and Wolverine, so I was really happy to see his chair pop up. Cyclops, hell yeah, let's go. And of course, he's about to make a name for himself with this movie. Channing Tatum as Gambit. Not much more to say about this one. He was iconic in Deadpool and Wolverine. Expect more of the same here. Channing Tatum's Gambit definitely made the cut. Rounding out the list is the final member of the Fantastic Four, and quite possibly the most important character to Doctor Doom himself. We have the smartest man in the universe, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, played by Pedro Pascal. Now, a lot of folks weren't too high on Pedro's casting as Reed, and admittedly I was one of them, but as more time has gone on, I have faith that he'll pull it off. I do think Pedro Pascal is one of the best actors out there, and him actually pulling off a good Mr. Fantastic, I think is going to have a lot to do with determining the success of the Fantastic Four First Steps, which Marvel Studios desperately needs to do well, because these characters, man, the Fantastic Four are so important to the overall story Marvel's telling, just like in the comics. And moving forward, they need the Fantastic Four to do well so people actually, care about these characters. And like I said, I think Pedro pulling off a good Reed will have a lot to do with that movie's success. So a lot of pressure on him, but I do have full faith that he can pull off a good Mr. Fantastic. And finally, the man of the hour himself, himself. His name is right there in the title of the movie, but Victor Von Doom himself, played by Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Doom is maybe the most iconic Marvel villain there is, one of the most iconic Marvel characters in general, and he is so vital and important to everything that Marvel is doing in the next two Avengers movies. Of course, the Russo brothers, the directors of the next two Avengers movies, said that RDJ was the only actor on Earth that could play this role with the story they were trying to tell. No doubt tying it back to Tony Stark, the MCU's greatest hero. So of course, the MCU's greatest villain should tie back to the MCU's greatest hero, especially in the multiverse saga. So yeah, of course, Robert Downey Jr., Dr. Doom, was going to be in Avengers Doomsday. Kind of a no-brainer on that one. However, there are no doubt some pretty popular characters left off this list. Like, of course, where's Deadpool and Wolverine? How are you going to have all these Fox X-Men characters and not Deadpool and Wolverine? Like, what's up with that? Or how about the master of the mystic arts himself, Doctor Strange? If you ask me, a guy who had Multiverse of Madness in the title of his movie would be pretty important to the main multiverse saga event. So where is Doctor Strange at? And even America Chavez or Wong, right? These are pretty big multiverse characters, so where are they at? Speaking of important characters, what about Scarlet Witch herself, Wanda Maximoff? Hell, there were a lot of rumors that Doom would fall in love with Wanda like he does in the comics, so where's Wanda on this list? And I know Elizabeth Olsen has been saying she won't be in these next two Avengers movies, but come on, I don't think anyone really believed her. No way, like where the hell is Wanda at? Or how about the biggest elephant in the room? Tom freaking Holland as Spider-Man. I mean, Tom Holland and RDJ's connection in the Infinity Saga is a lot of what made all the heavy stuff work. Playing off their connection, no doubt, has to be a big part of Doomsday, right? Not to mention Tom Holland has admitted that he'll be in these Avengers movies, so what gives? Like, how come Spider-Man didn't even get a chair? Well, it's really nothing more than Marvel Studios just literally didn't release the full list of characters. That's pretty much it. Like, that was pretty clear with some of the blatantly obvious omissions, but Robert Downey Jr. literally made a post on social media saying that he said, quote, "That's a deep bench of talent. That must be it, right?" And Marvel Studios replied back with, quote, "There's always room for more." So that's kind of Marvel Studios putting everyone's mind at ease that this is indeed not the full list of characters and letting us know that there is simply no way we will be having an Avengers Doomsday without Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I'm not really sure why they didn't mention him. Maybe it's like a Sony thing, because obviously Sony does own the rights to him in live action movies. But, and you know, I don't know, but who knows who else will be on the list, who makes the final cut and who doesn't, since it's not possible for every single character to. That's more of like a Secret Wars thing. But I guarantee Tom Holland's Spider-Man will be in Avengers Doomsday. There's simply no way he wouldn't be in that movie. But please let me know in the comments who you are most excited to see in Avengers Doomsday and who you'd like to see still added to the roster of characters when they do indeed add more to the list. Let me know in the comments.